record. The time is 2 p.m.
Before we get started with the substance, I was able to determine that James Hilkey, Hilkey, is able to do the psychological evaluation. And he is available to do the testing tomorrow or October 7th or 8th.
Can you do it tomorrow, Brad?
I don't see why not.
Okay.
And he would like to do it just at a neutral location. He's willing to come to Raleigh.
Where is he?
He's in Durham.
He's in Durham, but
There's a Hilkey here, too.
Oh,
Different
okay.
guy.
Okay.
Different guy.
we were going to arrange for him to have a conference room in an office in another law firm, like Cheshire Parker or somewhere, if that's all right with y'all.
We can do it here, but we thought you might want a neutral location.
I'd rather it either be at another firm or at my office, or Cheshire Parker's great with us.
We'll
Okay.
call them and see.
Sure.
Okay. I'm supposed to call him tonight. I'll give you his cell number just for contact. I think it's this evaluation.
I'm going to call him and get my own therapy.
But, well, Lord knows you need it, so I will make an exception. Are we on the record? Okay.
That's okay.
It's all right.
That's okay.
All right. Anyway, what time do you want to try to start that? Would 9:30 work?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Should we call Cheshire Parker first, though, and make
I'll
sure?
call them.
Okay.
In a few minutes, I'm just going to call them and see.
Thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they've got at least that little room up there we can use if nothing
Yeah,
else.
Okay. While we're on that subject, Mr. Cooper, I would like to ask you, when did you meet? Is it James Gould who's done your evaluation? Jonathan Gould.
When did I first meet him? About a month ago or so.
And do you know who selected him to perform the evaluation?
I believe it was Debbie Sandlin.
Did you speak to him on the phone the first time or meet with him in person?
I met with him in person.
Do you recall when you retained Jonathan Gould?
Objection. He didn't retain Jonathan Gould.
Well, did your attorney on your behalf retain Jonathan Gould?
I guess so, yes.
Have you had to pay funds yourself to your attorney to retain Jonathan Gould?
Yes.
And what amount have you paid for Dr. Gould?
If you know the answer to that.
I believe it was $12,000, between $12,000 and $15,000,
And for what purpose have you paid him $12,000 to $15,000 through counsel?
to do an evaluation on myself.
And what type of evaluation is that?
I guess it would be a psychological evaluation.
Has he completed the psychological evaluation?
I don't believe he's got his final report finished.
Was he retained for any other purpose than to perform a psychological evaluation?
Objection.
Is-
Attorney-client privilege.
Is he going to testify, to your knowledge, as an expert in your case?
I'm not aware. I don't know either way whether he's going to testify or not.
Okay. Tell me when and where you met with him. You said approximately a month ago. Would that have been in September?
Approximately. The last couple of months have been a blur, but it was about a month ago.
Where did you meet Jonathan Gould?
I met him at his office in Charlotte.
And tell me about the nature of that meeting. What happened at the meeting?
He gave me various, psychological tests.
Did you and he talk prior to the testing?
I think very briefly, a few minutes.
Did he interview you?
After the testing was complete, or I guess after the tests he gave me were complete, we did do an interview, yes.
What was the substance of the conversation prior to the testing?
It was more just to, he asked me if I was familiar with the testing, if I understood what was being tested upon, that sort of thing.
Did you ever meet with him with any of your attorneys present?
No.
Okay. And Did he speak to you? Did he ask you what purpose you were, for what purpose you were requesting that he test you?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Did he ask you why you needed to be tested?
There was some question of my emotional stability. My emotional stability was called into question, and he was there to give an examination. And
The only thing I'm trying to establish is, did you have a conversation and what the substance of it was prior to the testing? What you said to him and what he said to you?
the conversation was basically, did I have any questions about his role, what the tests were going to include, that sort of thing. It wasn't. I don't think it got any more detailed than that.
Okay. And do you know if he had reviewed the file, or do you know what he relied upon other than meeting with you?
He read the affidavits filed on both sides.
Anything else?
He had requested some independent evidence to substantiate some of the things in some of the affidavits.
What independent evidence did he request?
Banking records, cell phone records, records at Lifetime Fitness, records at the Durham Science Museum, Life and Science Museum, emails. I think that was it.
Have you provided him with those records?
I have.
And have you provided the same records that were subpoenaed by the plaintiffs?
Yes.
To the plaintiffs?
Let me clarify. The exception is we did not provide you with the court file because we provided him with the court file, but that's something that you already have.
So is it your testimony that the plaintiffs, we have all the records that Dr. Gould has?
So there was one piece of evidence that was a client work, something I did on behalf of the law firm.
Without telling me what was in it, what was it?
I guess it was a list of events.
A list of events prepared by you?
Yes.
During what period of time?
What period of time did I prepare it, or what period of time did it cover?
Both.
It covered the period of time when Nancy was born up until current day, and I prepared it after Nancy's death.
And it covered from her birth to present?
Basically to present, yes.
So would that be a 34-year span?
Basically, it was just a list of events when people were born, married, that sort of thing.
Okay. Tell me how long you spent that first day in Dr. Gould's office.
I believe I arrived at 9 a.m. in the morning and went until about 3:30 or 3:30 p.m., something about that.
And during that time, what did you do?
The first day was primarily, or almost entirely, just testing.
What type of testing?
He had some testing on a laptop, as well as some paper testing for me to complete.
Was anybody else in the room when you took the test?
No.
Were you in a conference room?
I was in his office.
Okay. Was it a multiple choice format, or?
Some of the test was most of the tests were multiple choice. Yes, some were. I think there was a handful that were true false, but most of them were multiple choice.
Do you know what tests he administered?
There was over the span of 2-3 days of testing, I think there was about 12 to 20 different tests that he put us through, or put me through. There was the NNPI test, and a few other ones that I can't remember the acronyms for.
Were the 2 or 3 days of testing consecutive days?
No, it was spread out over about 3 weeks, I guess.
Did all of the testing occur in his office?
Yes.
Were you permitted to take any of the tests outside of the office?
No.
Were you permitted to take any materials from him outside of the office?
No.
Okay. And tell me, the first day you stayed from 9 till 2 or 2:30, is that correct?
9 until sometime late in the afternoon, between 2 and 4, sometime in there.
Did you speak to anybody then other than Dr. Gould?
No.
And when did you return to Dr. Gould's office?
I think it was the following week sometime.
In the morning, or?
It was either at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., one of the two times.
And did you speak to Dr. Gould prior to your testing on that date?
I don't believe so. I think we arranged the time before I left the previous week.
How long did you spend in the office on the second day?
I believe the second day was shorter. It was only maybe 4 hours.
Okay, and how many tests did you take on that day?
I can't remember exactly how many tests. It was less than the first day.
Did you have any conversations with Dr. Gould outside the testing process on that day?
No.
Did you have any conversations with anybody in Dr. Gould's office?
No, I never met anyone in Dr. Gould's office other than Dr. Gould.
Okay. And did you return again for a third session with
I
Dr.
did.
Gould?
Yes.
When would that have been?
It was a week after that, I guess.
And when did you go in the morning, and how long did you stay?
The third session was shorter. It was, I think, only three hours. It was basically, I think it was 9 to noon or so.
And what happened on that day?
That was the day I believe that's the day we went over some interview questions. So basically, he asked me some questions and interviewed myself.
What kind of questions did he ask?
I think he asked about family, the kids. I don't remember the exact questions.
Did he interview you for the entire 3 hours?
Yes,
Was it just you and Dr. Gould in the interview?
that's correct.
And how many total hours did Dr. Gould test you when you include the first and second day?
The first and second day, I think the first day it was 9 till, let's say 2:30, so 5.5. Let's say maybe 9 to 10 hours, I guess.
And 9 to 10 hours total testing and 3 hours of interview.
There was a fourth day as well. I went back another time to do some follow-up interview questions.
When was that?
The testing occurred over about a month's period. I think we usually met about once per week based on his schedule.
And what was the most recent time that you met with Dr. Gould?
I think about 3 weeks ago or so. It's been a few weeks, I guess.
And how long were you in that fourth meeting with him?
It was probably less than 3 hours.
And was that testing or interviewing?
There was no testing. The fourth day was interviewing and reviewing some of the initial test results.
What did Dr. Gould tell you about the initial test results?
He kind of reviewed kind of what some of the results were, and basically, all the dots in a graph, and what was high, what was low, and what they kind of represented.
Can you give me a summary of his findings?
So one of the things he showed me was, he said, this V shape means that, I'm going to do a bad job explaining, but it's this shape of this score, this graph represents or correlates with this shape, which means you're most likely telling the truth, and this shape means that you've got a low index to violence. It was something to that effect.
Did he find that you were likely to be telling the truth?
Yes,
And did he find that you're not likely to be a violent person?
that's correct.
Did he test anything other than truthfulness and violence?
I couldn't tell you all the tests he gave me. I don't know what all the tests were.
Well, based on his recitation of the results to you, did he talk about anything other than truthfulness and violence with you?
As far as I remember, no, he didn't go over every single test. He just went over some of the highlights.
What else did he tell you?
That's really all those are the pieces that I remember.
Did he administer a Rorschach ink blot test?
No.
Did he say why he did not do that?
I believe he indicated that he didn't believe in them. I think that's what he indicated.
Did he do something called the Milan? You know that? Are you familiar with that?
Sounds familiar. I don't know if I took it or not.
Okay. Have you met with him other than that final time, the fourth time?
No.
Do you know if Dr. Gould met with any collaterals, any persons other than you relating to your evaluation?
far as I know, no. I don't believe he has.
And I think you said earlier, but you didn't request that he do so. You didn't provide any other names to him.
Not at the time, no, I did not.
Have you?
I have not provided him names, no.
Okay.
Well, just to clarify, I did provide him Tailing Line, but we were unable to contact her.
And do you know when Dr. Gould's final report will be ready?
I don't know when it's going to be finished, no.
Have you reviewed a preliminary report?
I have not reviewed one yet, no.
Do you know that one exists?
Yes, one does exist, yes.
How do you know that?
Because I was...
Objection.
Don't tell me if it's
Don't-
something that your
don't
attorney
talk
said.
about anything we've talked about.
Has Dr. Gould told you that?
No, he's not told me that.
Okay. I'd like to go back to where we were prior to the break. I think you had told me that you were going to receive a pay increase in the next 2 weeks. Is that correct?
I believe the time frame was the end of October sometime, as I remember.
Okay. And what percent raise is that?
I think it was a 2 to 3% raise.
Do you know if that was standard for all Cisco employees?
No, it was just for individuals that showed above or exceptional performance. It was based on merit and performance.
Is it defined as top 10% or 25% or?
The raise doesn't clarify that. I don't know if everyone that was in the top 10% got a raise. I don't know.
Do you know if anyone else on your team received a raise?
It's not something we normally discuss, and to my knowledge, I'm unaware of anyone else getting a raise.
Okay. With that raise, what will that put your salary at? Do you know?
I believe it's $112,000 would be my base salary, as I remember. I think I kind of glanced at it, but I don't remember the exact number.
Okay. When do you typically receive bonuses at Cisco?
We receive, for my job function, we receive bonuses twice a year. Once end of February, March timeframe, and once September timeframe.
And did you tell me whether or not you had gotten one for this September, a bonus?
I don't believe we discussed it. This September, I think my bonus was between $25,000 and $30,000.
September of 2008?
Yes. Well, that number represents both the February bonus and the September bonus.
Did you receive a bonus in February?
Yes. It was basically 25% of whatever the final number was in September.
Okay. And did you get a check in September or?
It comes as part of your paycheck.
Okay. And do you have your paycheck direct deposited into a bank account?
Yes.
What bank account is that?
It would be a bank account at Wachovia.
Okay. Is that an account that's in your name only?
Currently it is, yes.
Was it ever in anyone else's name?
Nancy and I had a joint account that we used up until the end of February.
At Wachovia?
Yes.
And did you remove her name from the account?
The account was closed, yes.
Did you open a new account?
Yes.
Is that a money market account, checking account?
I guess it'd just be a standard checking account.
Do you have any other bank accounts?
We have another joint account,
We being whom?
Nancy and myself,
Where is that?
at Wachovia as well.
Is that a money market?
I think it's just a standard checking account. I don't know. It's not an account we use.
Currently?
We haven't used it in probably 2 years.
Okay. Is there a balance in that account?
I think all of 90 cents.
Okay. Do you know what the balance is in your Wachovia account right now that you use?
Right now, I just got paid bonus, and I think there's currently $10,000 in there.
What was the amount of that bonus?
Prior to taxes, well, okay, after taxes, it was $14,000.
Okay. Any other bank accounts in your name?
We have a bank account in the name of Isabella, and I think Nancy or myself is a co-owner of that account or controller of the account or something.
And where is that account?
That's also at Wachovia.
What is the purpose of that account?
That account we opened up years ago, I guess when Bella was born, and we just put checks in there that we received from family in the name of Isabella.
What's the balance in that account?
I believe the last balance I saw on that was just under $400.
Have any funds been removed from that account in the last year?
Not by myself, no.
Do you know of anyone else that removed any funds from
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Other than Bella's account at Wachovia, your account at Wachovia, and a joint defunct account at Wachovia, do you have any other bank accounts?
That's the only bank accounts that I'm aware of.
Okay. Do you have any accounts with Merrill Lynch or, and I'm going to say, stock portfolios?
I do. We have one at through work. I want to say Smith Barney.
Who is we?
Myself. It would be in my name, but it's so it's my name, but it was used by Nancy and myself. That's where my stock options from Cisco went, as well as my stock purchase plan stock went.
Was that a joint account prior to her death?
No, it was an account that was opened or just via Cisco, so it was only in my name.
So it consists of stocks, Cisco stock?
It only consists of Cisco stock and Cisco stock options.
Okay. Do you know what the current value of that account is?
The Cisco stock,
I'm going to object, and I'm going to object to all these questions about the assets, but Brad, you can go ahead and answer them.
okay. Cisco stock, there's currently not much there. We sold it off, most of it last year, so I think there's maybe $1,000 worth of stock in there.
Who sold it off last year?
As controller of the account, I did.
And what time frame? Do you mean 2007?
It was all, most of it was liquidated in 2007.
When in 2007?
I don't have the exact dates.
And how much approximately did you receive from that?
From the stocks, there wasn't much left there. I think maybe $3,000-4,000.
What about the options? Have you exercised those?
We've exercised the majority of the options, and I think over the years we've probably got $40,000 to $50,000 out of the stock options.
Over what years?
Since I started working for Cisco, so over the last 8 years.
And within the last year, how many stock options have you exercised?
I really couldn't tell you.
I also think we've given you that in the
documents?
Yeah, it's in the documents.
Well, let me ask you this. Since I hadn't had a chance to review the documents, do you have any objection to me reviewing those, and then if I have some questions on those options, answering
Sure.
those?
That's fine,
Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
That's fine. Any other accounts besides your Cisco accounts and your Wachovia account?
I think we already covered the 401k account, and Nancy and myself have 3 retirement accounts in Canada still.
Let me ask you about your 401k. Do you know what the current balance of that account is in that account?
But given the whole stock market right now, at between $25,000 and $30,000.
Have you withdrawn any funds from your 401k in the last year?
Last year we took an $18,000 loan against the 401k.
And when you say we, who do you mean?
Nancy and myself.
Okay. And who were the funds paid to for the loan?
It went into our joint banking account and then was redistributed to pay off credit card debt.
Who paid off credit card debt?
It came from our joint account.
And who wrote the checks?
It was, I'm guessing it was myself. It also could have been electronic payments. I'm not too sure.
Okay. Do you currently have any outstanding credit card debt?
Yes.
What cards? Identify the cards first.
And I think we've given that to you too as well, Alice. But
There's, I may have got $15,000 on 3 credit cards right now.
Right now. When was that debt incurred?
Since retaining legal custody or legal counsel, I guess.
Was it since Nancy's death?
Yes.
And just identify the cards. MasterCard, Visa, Discover.
There's 1 MasterCard and 2 Visas. I think there's three balances split across 3 different cards.
Are those cards that you opened after her death, or were they in existence prior to?
They were in existence, but not used.
Okay. As of the date of her death, was there any balance owed on credit cards?
We had 1 credit card with about $1,500 on it, and we also had an American Express with I think about $4,000 on it.
Okay. And what was the nature of that debt?
What was it resulting from?
Yeah.
The one for $1,500 we've had forever. It's basically sitting at like 2% interest, so we just keep paying it off slowly. So that was from 3 years ago. I don't remember what it was for. American Express was mainly the big jump in the last couple of months was Nancy doing Christmas shopping.
And have you complained about Nancy incurring credit card debt?
I've only made comments to herself.
To Nancy?
Yes.
Have you said anything about her incurring debt in any of the affidavits that you filed?
I believe I did, yes.
Okay. Tell me about that. Tell me how you feel about her having incurred the debt and what you said about it in the affidavit.
So, just to be clear, so I'm not saying she incurred all the debt. That's not what I was or am applying now.
Okay.
So I guess you're asking for an example. Is that what the last question was?
Well, I want to know, number one, who incurred the debt, if it was Nancy or if it was you or if it was both of you first?
All right, so I just this last week I looked at the American Express card from January 2007 to December 2007. And of that, $27,000 was accredited to Nancy's credit card, and mine was $17,000. Of that, I think $3,000 or $4,000 was part of our monthly bills for her cell phone, security, home security, and the Time Warner bill.
And what else did her debt consist of?
In 2007, she bought a painting that she inquired upon. It was a painting from Canada. She loved it, and it was, 4x4 painting, basically 4 foot by 4 foot, and approximately $9,000. And I told her in January, so when she requested it, that we simply couldn't afford $9,000 painting. And a month later, I found out that she had purchased it, and we had, $9,000 hitting our credit cards over the next couple of months for that painting.
Did you have an argument about that?
I wasn't happy about it, but I didn't yell and scream. It was already purchased. We really couldn't return it. But I did express my dissatisfaction, the fact that she did purchase it when we really couldn't afford it.
Did she purchase it over your objection?
Yes.
Where's the painting now?
It's at the residence right now.
Any other items that you call big ticket items that she purchased over your objection?
We've got a few other paintings, but I wouldn't say I completely objected to them. She wanted them, and I tried to indulge her whenever I could, whenever we could afford it.
What other items have you indulged her on?
I think October of last year, maybe November of last year, she wanted a diamond necklace.
November of 2007.
November or October of 2007, yes.
And did she ask you for that?
Yes, she said that she had a bad year and that she deserved it.
And what was your response?
I said, well, let's go have a look at it and see if we can afford it.
And what happened?
And she had two picked out, one that was, I believe, $7,000 and one that was $2,800.
Where were these diamond necklaces?
I believe the store was Bailey's.
In Raleigh?
I believe so, yes.
Did she purchase one of the necklaces?
I explained that we couldn't afford $7,000 at that time, but we did purchase the one for $2,600 or $2,800. I think it was $2,800.
Where is that necklace now?
That one is currently in the residence.
Is that a necklace that she wore frequently?
Yeah, I'd say she wore it fairly frequently, yes.
Did she take it off?
She did take it off, yes.
Where is it in the residence?
It's in, I guess, a desk that we have where we store papers, passports, that sort of thing.
Who's we?
Nancy and I, sorry.
What other jewelry of Nancy's is in your residence?
The only other piece of jewelry, I guess, would be a ring, and she's got a handful of other necklaces.
What ring is that?
It's a ring that we had purchased in Calgary, I guess, in 2000 or so.
Is it an engagement ring, or
No, it's just a ring that she requested.
describe the ring?
It's just a thick silver, I should say white gold with diamonds and sapphires.
Do you know where her engagement ring is?
I've been told that it was at, or it is at, a jewelry store.
Who told you that?
Objection.
Okay.
Attorney-client privilege.
Okay. What about wedding rings? Did she have a wedding ring?
She did have a wedding band, yes.
And do you know where that is?
No, I do not.
Do you know if she had any diamond earrings?
Yes, she had a diamond studs that she usually wore.
And do you know where those are?
As far as I understand, one was found on Nancy's body.
How did you learn that?
The autopsy report was released last week.
Did you read the autopsy?
I did.
Do you have a mortgage on your house?
We do.
Do you have an equity line?
Yes, we do.
What's the outstanding balance owed on your principal mortgage?
The mortgage itself, I think, is currently $222,000.
What about the equity line?
$79,000.
When's the last time you drew off the equity line?
It'd be last year.
When last year?
I don't recall. We basically increased it from $24,000 to $79,000 to pay off debt,
Pay off what debt?
credit card debt.
Is that the credit card debt that you referenced earlier, the 17 and the 27?
17 and 27.
You said Nancy spent 17, or you spent 17 and Nancy spent 27.
Part of it, yes. We had other credit cards at the time.
Did Nancy's parents give you any funds in 2007?
In 2007?
Yes.
I don't recall in 2007.
Do you recall that they gave you any funds during your marriage?
There was a check that was given to Nancy, yes. 2004, 5, 6, sometime in there.
Do you know what the amount of the check was?
It was close to $20,000.
Do you know what happened to that money?
It was deposited into the joint checking account and I believe was used to pay off credit card debt.
Do you know if the Rentzes have provided any other financial support to Nancy and your children prior to Nancy's death?
I'm not aware of any checks being deposited.
Do you know if they purchased items for Nancy and the girls?
They did purchase a dresser for Isabella, or I'm sorry, for Catherine, or Gabriella, when she was born.
Who? For who? For whom?
Sorry, Gabriella Catherine Cooper we refer to as Catherine or Katie.
Any other items that they've purchased for your family?
They purchased a painting for us December of last year, or at least were given to us last year.
What painting is that?
I forget the artist's name, but it was small 1 foot by 1.5 foot painting
Where is that painting?
in the residence.
Where is the big painting that you objected to a bear painting?
Yes,
Where's that?
at the residence.
Do you intend to stay in that residence?
I really haven't thought about it. I've considered moving, but I really haven't given it that much thought. It hasn't been my primary focus.
What's your primary focus?
Being able to see my girls again,
Is that all?
and helping out with the investigation of Nancy, yes.
Are you currently assisting in the investigation?
I've answered every question the police have, yes.
And have you been to the Cary Police Department and given a statement?
I have not given a statement, but I've answered every question they have.
When did you answer every question that they had?
whenever they've been to the home or provided questions for myself to answer.
How many times have they been to your home?
I would probably say I've probably answered questions in my home from the police probably 5 times.
Tell me if you know what dates you answered questions from the police 5 times.
I'd say probably the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th.
And what officers question you on those days?
I don't remember all the officers' names.
Do you know any of their names?
No. If you provide the names, I could probably say yes or no, but I don't remember now.
Okay. How long would you estimate total that you've spoken to the police? How many hours?
It would be an estimate, maybe 9 hours. It's just a guess.
Have they requested that you come down to the department and give a formal statement?
They asked, and I was at home at the time, and I said, I'll answer any questions you have, and I didn't want to leave the residence. I had the kids close by, and I wanted to remain close to the kids.
When was that?
That was sometime during that weekend.
Are you still willing to go down to the police department and answer any
Objection.
questions?
You don't need to answer that question.
Why does he not need to answer that question?
That's attorney-client privilege, and
Whether he's willing to go down to
he's not answering that question.
he can invoke his Fifth Amendment privilege, but my understanding is that he has to answer that question.
He does not have to answer that question. He's not going to go and speak with the police without representation, if that's your answer.
I
Question.
asked him, I didn't ask about representation, I asked him if he was willing to go
We're not
down.
answering the question. Move on.
I'll call the judge then.
Fine.
We'll stay on the record and... Do you have Judge Sasser's number? How far will this? All right. Can we